So excited tonight. We have two political science professors who know a thing or two about politics here in the state. Charles Bullock from the University of Georgia. He just spoke with Megan, and Scott Buchanan with Georgia College and State University in Milledgeville. Thank you so much for lending your expertise with us tonight. This is going to be exciting. We have a lot of ground to cover. First of all, let's talk about the states that have already been called for former President Trump and for Vice President Harris. So your thoughts on that?
No surprises yet. Trump was expected to win both Indiana and Kentucky, Harris, Vermont. No surprises whatsoever.
No surprises whatsoever. You would agree?
Oh yeah, I mean, literally, you could have taken out your Crayolas and a map, and you could have colored 43 of the states back in January, probably.
Okay, so this comes as really as no surprise. Okay, so let's go back in time. This has been quite the election cycle. Let's start off with President Biden dropping out of the race. Were you surprised with that, Dr. Bullock?
Not really, no. I mean, the momentum was building so much against him, and he had that atrocious performance he had in the debate in Atlanta. Yeah. I think if he hadn't dropped out, he was going to be taken out.
He was going to be taken out, yeah. And, you know, that brings up a good point here. Then, you know, Vice President Harris became the nominee. Is she more palatable for a lot of voters out there?
I would say yes, for younger voters especially, which is a key part of the Democratic base. So very popular among younger voters, minority voters, so yes.
Let's talk about voter turnout. Here in the state, 4 million, more than 4 million votes cast early here. So that, I mean, that's something to be proud of, is that not?
Yes, and it's certainly a record. More than 55%, counting all the absentees that were received, 55% of Georgians had already voted before we even got to Election Day, and we'll see what turnout is like today.
And you don't have to go back very far, and where if we had a total of 4 million ballots cast in the entire election, we'd say, wow, we've done a good job.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
And then with the Secretary of State saying that a lot of those votes are going to be counted by 8 o'clock tonight, that seems a bit ambitious, but law dictates that those numbers come in.
Well, the tally must be there. The total number that each county has in early voting ballots and absentees. We will know some results, but they don't. The final results don't have to be at 8, but they must produce a tally, so we know a total number.
Okay, and that's important to keep in mind.
Yes, and this is the first presidential election where we've had that 8 p.m. requirement.
Okay. Right. You know, it has been such a busy election season, and we've had a lot, you know, Georgia is a swing state. It went, you know, to President Biden last election cycle, and we've gotten a lot of attention. I mean, we had the former president in Macon on Sunday for a huge rally. The vice president, she was in Atlanta. We've had the spouses coming into Central Georgia and a lot of their surrogates. But I'm curious, when you have early votes totaling over 4 million, how many undecided people are really out there? Do these last-minute swings, do they do any good?
That's the key question. I mean, I was thinking of this, the rallies over the weekend. Okay, how many of the supporters for Harris-Trump, how many of them had already cast a ballot? And so you're really going for a smaller and smaller piece of the pie, although if the Secretary of State projection is to be believed, we're going to hit about 1 million people today. So I use that term sliver in proportion to the 4.5 million voters who've already cast ballots.
Yeah. Right. Of course, even some of those voting today knew all along. He just kind of, whatever reason, didn't get around to it. So, yeah, just as 2 or 3 percentage points maybe are the folks who really are waiting and making up their mind today.
Sure. Right. And I was wondering about that, you know, Dr. Bullock, is there a difference between an early voter, that person's mindset, opposed to someone who waits until Election Day?
Yeah, the person who waits the Election Day, conceivably something happens within those closing days, which is say, oh, okay, now it clarifies for me. Where if you know how you're going to vote, then sure, you can vote the first day of early voting and feel good about yourself. But some people really are kind of conflicted or trying to figure it out, or they don't think that much about politics, and it's only kind of in the final days they say, election coming up, what am I going to do?
Yeah, and I find it interesting. It seems like a lot of these campaigns and political groups have been using kind of peer pressure. It's like, you know, your aunt and your uncle, your mom and dad can see if you voted
That's right.
and you don't want to be left out. Have you? Is that interesting? I've not seen that before.
Well, yeah, there's been actually studies done on this, and indeed, if you alert voters by sending out a postcard and say, your neighbors can see whether or not you're going to vote, it does bump up participation.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it is a
So
useful
it does
strategy.
work. Yeah, it does get people to go to the polls. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And one of the fascinating aspects of that phenomenon in recent times is we can now so easily look up and see who has already cast a ballot. You know, we don't know how they voted,
Right.
but whether or not they voted earlier or not, and it's a way for the campaigns to, in fact, know that and focus their ground game on those voters who have not yet cast a ballot.